Well, hey there, it's Matt again from MDW GuitarWorks, and I just wanted to show you what I've been working on the last few days. Um, I built a little mini kick drum to use with my band, Drunken Shrubbery, and it's pretty cool. It was a combination of scores that I made. I went to the pawn shop and found a kick drum pedal that was cheap as hell. It was normally, like, I think they marked it at $70 or $80, and I got it for 20. And then I went on Facebook Marketplace, and I was originally gonna buy this guy's kick drum, and because I couldn't find any floor toms that people were willing to sell separately, which I understand, because if you sell the floor tom, you're breaking up a drum set, and it's hard to get rid of the individual parts. It's easier to sell an intact set. But so I was like halfway to this guy's house to get a admittedly good deal on this kick drum, which was going to be bigger than what I needed, but I could make it work. And he said, well, I got this floor tom, and offered me a price on it, and I was like, hell yeah. And so instead of getting the kick drum, I got this nice 16-inch diameter floor tom, which seemed to be in pretty good shape. It wasn't like super duper high quality something to like hang on your wall, but it was pretty good, and the heads were intact and the shell was intact, and that's pretty much all you need. If there was hardware problems, I could probably fix those, but with the exception of one lug given out, all the hardware seems to be pretty much intact. So what I did was, initially I kept it pretty much shaped like a floor tom, and took it apart, repainted the hardware, and ordered a nice little decal to go on the front for my band, which will be pretty cool. It hasn't got here yet, but it'll be pretty nifty. So I took it apart, painted it, cleaned it up first, and then ended up having to put a footer on it so it'll sit nicely. I had to take the hardware that the floor tom legs went through, and turn those around sideways and drill new holes, and so that it would have little legs, and had to go buy some threaded bar stock at Ace Hardware to make new feet legs for it, and that was pretty easy. Then I got it done, and I'm thinking, God, this thing is still just kind of long and deep and takes up a lot of room. Thinking I might just have to cut this thing down. So that's what I did. I ended up like cutting it down to about halfway as deep as it started out, and which is kind of nice because it put it sort of in the proportions of a kick drum, so a little bit shallower. And what else did I do? I had to move all the hardware for the front head, drill new holes for that, and I kind of carefully measure that out, because you can't just put those lugs any old where. You gotta measure, and so that's what I did. And I'll walk you through all the pictures that I took along the way, and then we'll cap it all up. Cap it all off. Cap it all up? Okay. Anyway, here goes. Okay, so this is the finished product, what I ended up with after I got done with the ordeal, which involved a few more steps than I was planning on, but it's all for the best. You can see right on the side there, on the back head, there's a piece of hardware I had to improvise from an eye bolt, because the hardware in the lug just gave out on me right at the last minute too. So I replaced that with an eye bolt, which worked just fine. And if you don't look too close, you'll never see it. So anyway, The whole thing started when I was in a pawn shop, just looking around as one does, and I found this kick drum pedal for 20 bucks, which I just couldn't pass up because I had been planning on coming up with some kind of kick drum solution for the band, and part of that involved having a kick drum pedal. So that got me started. Then I checked around and found this on Facebook Marketplace, the floor tom, and it's a real good price. And you'd be amazed how few people are out there trying to sell just a floor tom. In fact, this guy wasn't either, but he had a bass drum and also had a floor tom that he just mentioned, and thought, okay, well, I'll take that instead, because I didn't really need the full-size kick drum, but I was going to take it if that's all I could find, and the price was right. But this was even cheaper, and so I got the 16-inch diameter floor tom. First thing I did was took all the hardware off of it and kind of gave it a good clean up and rub down and sand the surface a little bit just to get it all ready to take some paint. And I painted all the hardware this lovely nice goldy color, and then I painted the shell this nice green. It's a cool color of green. It was a little brighter than I anticipated, but I like it. And I put everything back together, as you can see, and I kept it initially intact at its full size, so that's 16 inches deep, and basically the same as a full-size floor tom. But I just was going back and forth in my mind as to whether I would cut it down or just leave it like that. The drawbacks to leaving it that long is that a lot of the places we play have very limited stage space, and we're already cramped as it is, and with that sticking out like a cannon, it's just going to take up that much more real estate on the stage. So that's a footer that I put on there. That's just so it doesn't tend to roll. It's got a nice flat surface to sit on, and I also put that little tongue on the back so that there's something for the kick drum pedal to clamp down onto. Since it's not a real kick drum, normal kick drums have a little rim that you can put the kick drum pedal on. Well, this doesn't have one since it's not meant to be a kick drum, so I had to contrive this for it. And now put it all together. You can see I took the hardware that was originally holding the legs that went up and down on a floor tom and turned it sideways and just used 2 of the 3, and that was a pretty good solution. But then I was thinking more about it, and I decided I was going to cut it down, so I marked it all up, and I extended the, what did I do? I just extended those lines out so that I could map the hardware where the hardware is going to go if I were going to make it exactly opposing the hardware that's holding the other head on. Ended up actually going over a few inches, so it's kind of staggered for a number of different reasons. First and foremost being that the hardware was going to butt up against itself. We don't want that. So took it all back down, and I also patched up the extra holes with some Bondo and sanded it a little bit and put another coat of paint on. Once I got it all done and put back together, I had to go to the thrift store and found a little throw pillow and ended up having to cut that down a little bit more, so there's some padding to go inside the drum. And that's it all put back together. I contrived the positioning of the hardware, the legs, so that they're splayed a little bit more, so it's even more stable than it was the first time around. And It's all in all very mechanically stable. And I painted the front head while I was painting the shell. That's going to be covered up when my decal gets here. That's the logo that I ordered, and it's going to get here whenever it gets here. I didn't pay for like expedited shipping. It's just on its way, and that's what it's going to look like. But for right now, it looks like that. Well, okay, so there you have it. This little compact mini kick drum. I had to put it up here. Ordinarily it would be down on the floor, but it's kind of hard to get the shot with the drum down there and me up here talking to you. So I don't normally operate it with my hand, but that rattling that you hear is probably junk on my bench that's rattling. It's not the drum. Everything's pretty tight and quiet on the drum. And I might still be tweaking a little bit to get the tuning exactly right, but sounds like a bass drum to me, man. So anyway, thanks for watching, and be sure to click like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'll be talking at you soon. Bye now.